Before we are getting into this topic of respiration, we will have a small recap about the nutrition topic. So what we discussed in the nutrition, whatever the food that is intaken is converted into simple form. So what is simple form? Carbohydrate is converted into glucose, and then protein is converted to amino acid, fat is converted to fatty acid and glycerol. So all these are the complex substances converted to simple form. Now where all these things are taking place, all these conversions are taking place inside our intestine. So small intestine is the last area, last part where digestion ends over there. So where, and again we discussed that all these small and simple nutrients are taken up by the villi, which are enriched with capillaries, and that will supply to each and every cell of our body for all the activities, mechanical damage, repair, and then building up of new cell, giving energy. For all these processes, these nutrients are utilized. That is what we discussed earlier in the nutrition topic. So keeping that as the continuation, so this is about the continuation of the nutrition topic. So what is going to happen here in the respiration? What is the process of respiration? So this simple nutrients which are present in the intestine, now it has to reach each and every cell of a body, whether it is glucose, amino acid or fatty acid, it has to reach each and every cell of a body. And now in each and every cell, this glucose or amino acid or fatty acid has to convert to produce energy. That is the ultimate goal. So that is called a cellular respiration. Why it is called a cellular respiration? Because it is taking place in the cell. Inside each and every cell, these nutrients which are broken down in the small intestine is now reaching the each and every cell, and in every cell it breaks down through different pathways, different mechanism to produce ultimately something called as energy. And energy is represented in the form of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So ATP is the short form which describes adenosine triphosphate, that is called as the energy currency of the cell, and this energy produced by ATP is equal to 30.5 kilojoule per mole. So keeping this in mind, keeping all these concepts into the respiration topic, we are going to see what is going to happen inside the cell. Hope you had some information, the basic outline about the respiration. So ultimately, what is one line statement? Whatever simple nutrient that is present in the small intestine has to reach each and every cell of the body, and inside each and every cell of the body, these simple nutrients has to produce energy. What is the form of energy? ATP. What is the full form? Adenosine triphosphate. How much energy it gives? It gives 30.5 kilojoule per mole. Understood? Okay. Now coming back to the pathways. This is the overall pathway which describes how glucose is broken down in different condition. When I am saying different condition, it talks especially about the presence of oxygen, absence of oxygen, or it is lack or partial oxygen available. In these conditions, what is the fate of glucose? How glucose undergoes different kind of pathways or metabolism where the different kind of products are produced. Now, like glucose, we do have the different pathways for amino acid and fatty acid. So first we will take into consideration only the glucose. So the process is called as glycolysis. What is glyco? Glyco is the word that describes for the glucose. Lysis means what? The breakdown. So the breakdown of glucose is called as glycolysis, and that product, that pathway is called as glycolytic pathway or glycolysis pathway. And this process of breaking down of glucose, so this product of breaking down of glucose takes place in every cell. Not only glucose, all the other simple substances, as I mentioned already, amino acid, fatty acid will also take place. So first we are taking into consideration only about the glucose. So glucose is converted to the product called as pyruvate, and this process of conversion takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. We all know cell, and the jelly-like substance is called as cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, you have the central nucleus which carries the genetic information, and along with that we do have other cell organelles which are distributed in the cytoplasm. Now again, keeping this in the mind, we do have the conversion of glucose to pyruvate taking place in the cytoplasm. Glucose is a 6-carbon molecule. It means for C6, we have written in the photosynthesis equation, right? C6H12O6. So C6 stands for 6-carbon molecule, and then it is converted to pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon molecule, and this conversion takes place in the cytoplasm. And then what happens is that this pyruvate is again converted to a substance called as acetyl-CoA, but that is not mentioned in your textbook. But just for the understanding purpose, pyruvate is converted to acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA, like how pyruvate is converting to acetyl-CoA, likewise amino acid, fatty acid will also convert into acetyl-CoA, but different pathways will be followed. Here I told you glycolysis pathway, like that they have different pathways by which finally what is formed, acetyl-CoA will be formed through different mechanism. Now what happens, this acetyl-CoA which is produced will now enter the mitochondria. You would have studied mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. We have given the definition, we have given the name as powerhouse, as the name itself means what, power, energy is produced in that cell organelle mitochondria. How it is produced? So this acetyl-CoA is entering into a cyclic pathway, and that is called as TCA cycle, and the full form of the TCA cycle is tricarboxylic acid cycle. Also it is called as the Krebs cycle. So the full form is tricarboxylic acid cycle, also called as Krebs cycle. So this is a cyclic pathway. You have a cyclic pathway. Always you have one substrate that is converted to a product. Okay, and that conversion of substrate to product is mediated by an enzyme. In the next step, what is happening? This product becomes a substrate, acted upon by the next enzyme, produces product. Next, what happens? This product becomes a substrate and it produces this product becomes a substrate and produces the next product. So this kind of cyclic pathway keep happening. Where it is happening? It is happening in the mitochondria. And that is why mitochondria is called as what? Powerhouse of the cell. When these cyclic conversions are taking place, it releases energy, and energy is released in the form of ATP. Hope you understood. Let me have a small recap. So glucose is first converted into pyruvate, and pyruvate is converted to the next product called as acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA is entering into mitochondria. What is the role of mitochondria? It is called as the powerhouse of the cell. So what is the role of this mitochondria here? Powerhouse, producing energy in the form of ATP, and all the acetyl-CoA that is produced from glucose, amino acid, fatty acid enter into this cycle that is called as TCA cycle or Krebs cycle, and as they keep converting, it produces a lot of energy in the form of ATP. So this is the step that is taking place in the presence of oxygen. Since it is taking place in the presence of oxygen, we use the word aerobic respiration. So what is the word aerobic stands for? Aerobic means presence of oxygen. So this conversion takes place in the presence of oxygen. Suppose if there is no oxygen, partial oxygen available in our muscle cells, so that case result in the production of lactic acid. So due to heavy exercise, vigorous exercise, there is less oxygen available or very lack of sufficient oxygen. In that case, the muscle cells produces a product called as lactic acid, and that result in the muscular cramps. So these cramps are produced in the muscles, and that is because of the accumulation of lactic acid due to lack of oxygen in the muscle cells. So very less oxygen is available. So these two are the conditions based on available of oxygen or less oxygen. The next third condition is absence of oxygen, there is no oxygen at all, in that case what will happen to the glucose? And that kind of respiration is called as the anaerobic respiration. The word anaerobic denotes for the absence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration, where this glucose is converted into something called as ethanol. So what is the formula for ethanol? C2H5OH, which is a 2-carbon molecule. So this 6-carbon molecule, in the absence of oxygen, converted into ethanol, releasing carbon dioxide, water and energy. And this takes place especially in the yeast cell, and that is also called as alcoholic fermentation. The process of fermentation producing alcohol is called as alcoholic fermentation, and the amount of energy released is less compared to the amount of energy released in the aerobic respiration. If you see in aerobic respiration, it produces like one glucose is broken down by different pathways, mechanism, stepwise process to produce 36 molecules of ATP. Net gain is the overall molecule is 36 ATP that is produced from one molecule of glucose. Imagine how many molecule of glucose produced, how much ATP we do produce out of that, and finally this energy is utilized for all the cellular activities. So when I talk about ATP, that is the full form is adenosine triphosphate, and this is the structure that describes about how the ATP is. Like, it is made up of 3 different components. One is the nitrogenous base. The nitrogen part of the ATP is adenosine. The next one is the sugar part. The sugar part of this ATP is called as a ribose sugar, and the next one, it is made up of 3 phosphate molecule. And how this energy is produced? When the third phosphate is broken down, it produces ADP and P, that is inorganic phosphate. So this ATP, that is 3-phosphate, broken down to produce ADP and inorganic phosphate, and this breakdown result in the release of energy, and that is equal to 30.5 kilojoule per mole. So this is how the conversion taking place inside the cell. You have to bring into an imagination what is happening. So the food what I intake converted to simple form in my small intestine containing villi, enriched with the blood capillaries, taking all these simple form to each and every cell, and inside each and every cell it undergoes a different pathway or mechanism, and finally resulting in the production of energy, ATP. These kind of conversion do take place in the each and every cell of the body, and this I have discussed only about glucose. Likewise, you have it for amino acid and fatty acid, because we eat different kind of food item and all that is converted into simple form. Likewise, every nutrient that we intake has some kind of vital role in the cell, like mechanical damage if it is happening, repair, or producing energy for daily process. All these takes place because of the energy. This is the breakdown of glucose by various pathways. So we have discussed how the glucose is broken down by aerobic respiration, the presence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration, the absence of oxygen, and produces alcohol. And third one is the partial or lack of oxygen taking place in the muscle cell, resulting in the lactic acid formation, causing muscular cramps due to vigorous exercise or any other kind of activity where very less oxygen is available. Hope you had some information about this respiration introduction topic. We'll discuss about the other topics in the upcoming videos. Thank you.